What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Cardi B's second album, Am I the Drama? Cardi B, it's been almost 7.5 years since her debut album came out, Invasion of Privacy, of course, April 2018. It's been a long time. And of course, Cardi B has been around, of course, a major star, one of the A-listers in rap, of course, and certainly the face, the leader in the clubhouse in terms of the modern expansion of female rappers today. Post Nicki, Cardi really opened the floodgates for a lot of female MCs like we've never seen before. And now it's not a special thing. It's just part of hip hop these days, right? But Cardi herself, of course, has such star power, such charisma, such personality. That's why she exploded the way she did. Just seemed real, seemed natural, right? How authentic she was as a personality. And of course, that's been backed up with the music, ever since the Bodak Yellow breakout. But think about the tremendous success of I Like It, with Bad Bunny, of course, 1.7 billion streams on Spotify. And even though it's been 7.5 years between albums, Cardi has kept herself around with a really impeccable feature run. One of the absolute best of the last 10 years or so, whether it was Shake It from K-Flock, Tomorrow 2 from Glorilla, Put 'Em in the Fridge from Peso Pluma. Whenever Cardi popped up on a feature, it was significant. It was a big deal. And those are just really great songs. I think the Tomorrow 2 feature with Glow really helped kind of cement and certify Glorilla as a significant artist moving forward. And of course, she's found a lot of success post that post that breakout. And of course, the Cardi B experience is not just musical, of course. There's been obviously all the tremendous tabloid attention. Her on-again, off-again marriage to Offset has finally ended for good. She's now in a relationship with NFL player Stephon Diggs. She won a defamation case a few years ago. Her beef with Nicki and other figures in rap, the people that have aligned with Nicki for the most part, of course, has popped up consistently in the recent years, and that's actually referenced across this album as well. Not just taking shots at Nicki, but also people like Ice Spice and Bia. But we still needed the follow-up album, an official project, to really happen from Cardi, and it really does feel like this didn't need to take this long. I mean, tacked on at the end of this track list, you have WAP with Megan from 2020, of course, a mammoth song, billion-plus streams on Spotify. 2021's Up, 700 million stream song as well. Two big hits from Cardi, two of her biggest hits ever. And those songs both, suggested that the album cycle was going to kick up and just never did. And it's hard to really understand why that was. And I've kind of now decided that maybe this Cardi isn't really an album artist. She's not really a project person. And if you think about that sentiment alongside her ability to pop up in small doses with all these different features and immediately remind you why you like her and why she matters so much in a short amount of time, maybe there's something to that she's almost like post-album in a sense. Cardi B's second album, Am I the Drama, really finishes strong. Despite the 7.5-year wait between Cardi albums, there's a lot of highlights and a lot of things to enjoy about this album if you're a Cardi B fan. Cardi's charisma, her fearless lyricism, her explicit call-outs, and amusing ways to drag her various opponents, it hasn't gotten old. And when Cardi's at her best, there are some really hard songs on here. Whether it's the recent single Outside, Pretty and Pretty, Airtime, Tyla collab, Nice Guy, Trophies. There's a lot of really, I think, memorable and really good Cardi songs here. Also some pretty solid collabs with people like Kalani and Selena Gomez, surprisingly. Cardi remains a talented performer, and the bars and messaging is what you kind of expect. It's not a surprise that Partisan Fontaine is a co-writer on the majority of this album, like he has been on the majority of Cardi's music. They continue to make a really great team. The biggest problem of all with this album remains that it just took too long to come out. This definitely didn't need to take this long, and I think if you stack it up, was this worth a 7.5-year wait? Probably not. But when you think about how much has happened in female rap in between the Cardi albums, this does feel like a nice bookend and still a very worthy entry. And even though, female MCs have really kept it moving in Cardi's relative absence, this album feels right at home and does not feel like it's time has passed it by the sound or anything like that. So hopefully we don't have to wait nearly this long again for the next Cardi album, but we'll see what happens. Right off the bat with the first track, Dead, featuring Summer Walker, the first of 2 Summer Walker features. It's kind of like a manifesto style lyrics-wise song. I think the flow is okay, kind of like a recappy vibe to what Cardi's getting at. I think once that beat switch up happens, it sounds a little better. Hello, I love the drums there, very familiar Cardi flow and sound. I think Magnet, track 3, probably my favorite of the early songs. I think that chorus with the 90s vibe with the deep background vocals popping in and out, I like that. You have Cardi rhyming bitch over and over again, ending bars with bitch, and it seems to really work. And she does this with other words throughout this track list. And normally that can come across as not the strongest writing, but I think Cardi's able to sell raps like that in a good way, because when she's calling people out, you just know how much venom is coming out of her when she's deriding people the way she does in such amusing and brutal fashion. Pick it up with Selena. You have this bass drum. It's very bouncy. I think Selena really makes an impression here. I enjoy the feature. She hasn't really made something quite this level of pop in a while, honestly. And then Cardi herself is a bit more melodic, showing that range that she's demonstrated a while ago at this point, right? I mean, whether it's the Finesse remix or some of the more singing type songs she's done, of course, rapping in Spanish or Beso Pluma. Cardi is incredibly talented, but the melodic stuff doesn't really pop up too much on this album, but this is a good example of it. Imaginary Players, this is another one of the lead singles. This one got, I think, a lot of polarizing response because of its obvious Jay-Z sample. I think overall it's just okay. I don't think Cardi's anything special in the song, to be honest. Bodega Baddie, this is a really short one, but of course referencing, Caribbean culture with the sound. I guess a spiritual successor to I Like It, but not really a song that's super revisitable, to be honest, due to its length. I think Salute is pretty solid. I think the flow's tight there. Cardi's riding the beat pretty well. You have the trap drums that you come to expect, but also some keys as well that sound nice. Safe with Kalani. I really like the Kalani feature. I think she's very energetic on this. That's not always the case with some Kalani stuff, but I think it's a really good match. They complement each other quite well as they go back and forth. Man of Your Word. This one, kind of a slower track, obviously about Offset and what she's talking about. I don't know if you revisit this one too much, but it's good that you hear that one on here. What's Going On? This one features Lizzo, and it's I think Lizzo's very expressive on this song. I don't know if the feature necessarily makes a ton of sense on the album. It sounds a bit out of place to me. Outside, which came out back in June, this song's very hard. I think Cardi, just kind of going at it. It's a song that's going to stick around, and it has the past few months already. Pretty and Pretty also goes hard. Drums are pretty great. Better Than You. This is Cash Cobain. I think Cash Cobain's rise and sexy drill as a genre in general, one of the most significant things that happened in New York rap in between these 2 Cardi albums. Kind of cool to hear them collab here. Obviously, we know that Cardi isn't a fan of Ice Spice, so that side of the new drill wave she's not going to connect with, but cool to hear with Cash Cobain. Airtime, you have the kind of pause flow from Cardi. It's awesome. This song is hard as hell. Perhaps the best song here. Definitely a highlight. Definitely one to go back to. Principle, this one is odd. This one features Jan Jackson in a really innocuous, hard to notice feature. Didn't really get that part, but I think Cardi herself is pretty good. I think Trophies goes quite hard as well. And then Nice Guy featuring Tyla. Of course, Tyla, a huge feature at this point, a massive star in a short amount of time, as we know. I think the Tyla chorus is great, but then Tyla also lays down a rap verse of sorts for her standards, and it also kind of works. I like the song a ton. And then the last, new track, Killing Your Hoes, you have this really sleek beat, very more minimalist, but Cardi's still bringing it. And of course, we have tacked on at the end Up and WAP, which definitely feel like they're tacked on for streaming purposes, given how old they are. Again, WAP is over 5 years old. Up is over 4 years old. They definitely would have made more sense on an album that came out a few years ago. Nonetheless, I don't know if people forgot about these songs, but in case someone did, cool to hear, I suppose. But yeah, Cardi B. I'm happy about the song. I'm happy to see her at Knicks games. We'll see what happens with her and Stephon Diggs, but I think musically, she still got it. Parson Fontaine and her still got it together. Maybe it would have been cool to hear a bit more genre experimentation, a la Put Him in the Fridge with Peso Pluma. I thought that was really spectacular from Cardi, rapping in Spanish and whatnot on a, Corridos Tumbados album, But this is more traditional for the most part, and maybe that was the safest play. But yeah, let me know. What'd you think of Cardi B's second album, Am I the Drama? Are you happy with it? Did you think it was worth the wait? Let me know. And for more music reviews, more rap reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.